Hello everyone and welcome to Divine Debut. This is Kathy speaking. Thank you so much for being here, and this video is in relation to a total lunar eclipse on the axis Gemini Sagittarius, which is also going to be, of course, it's a full moon, and it's happening on the axis Gemini Sagittarius and because it's a full moon, the full moon will be in Sagittarius and the sun will be right opposite in Gemini, and that's happening at the 5th degree and 26 minutes of the mutable signs, the mutable axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. Of course, Gemini is the natural third house and Sagittarius is the natural 9th house, as you can see here on your charts. As you can see, I've got 0 Aries, and I will be going into each sign and in which area of life it will be affecting you. Get comfortable because there's a lot of information that I will be talking to you about. So this is the time of Greece, Thessaloniki. So 2:15 p.m. It will be happening, this supermoon I should say, will be happening at 11:14 UTC. Anyway, so 2:15, 2:14, doesn't matter on the minute, okay, universal time. So a supermoon, what is that? Obviously it's something, you know, when we look up at the sky on that full moon evening of the 26th of May of 2021, the moon will look extra large, and that's because it is very close to the Earth. Okay, now if you think of the moon, the moon's elliptic cycle or orbit around the Earth, elliptic of course means, you know, it goes in an oval sort of a cycle around, and depending on which side it is moving through, that will bring the moon closer to the Earth, and therefore it's a super moon, which obviously there is a difference because it's larger, it's in the sky, it's huge. Now this eclipse will be visible in Southeast Asia, in Australia, much of North America and South America, and it will also be visible and passing over the Pacific Ocean, part of the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, as well as it will be touching on the Antarctica as well. So everyone, now a lunar eclipse, I've got Agape on my desk again. She's crept up on my desk and she's stepping on my keyboard. Sorry about that sound. So a lunar eclipse and this supermoon, as I said, when it's closer, it's called a perigee. When it's further away from the Earth, it's called an apogee. Peri in Greek means, around. G means Gaia, the Earth. So the periphery around the Earth, the moon, with this eclipse is very close to the Earth, and that's why it's going to be very powerful. As I said, it's a total lunar eclipse, full moon. It's an amplified by 10 full moon, right? And we know that a full moon, with full moons, we have, our blood rises up. We feel more stress, more anxiety, more emotional, as we are living and breathing beings that are 60 degrees, I should say 60%, not degrees, 60, 70% water. Therefore, as the lunar phases affect the seas, that's how we are affected emotionally as well. Okay, so it's called a lunar perigee, this lunar eclipse, and where it's going to be, because it's very powerful, of course it will be affecting the earth, just like it affects the waters on earth. It does affect the geological phenomenon. So we're going to have geological phenomenons, such as we've got the chance for, for major phenomenon, difficult phenomenon happening around. Now we know the eclipses, the energies of the eclipses, because they're so huge, so powerful, they can begin way before an eclipse and last way after an eclipse, depending on how strong and how close the moon affects, how closely the moon affects our 3D reality, right? And our earth, our Gaia. So freaky weather, as we've already got Uranus moving through Taurus, and that's what it is. Uranus through Taurus, because Taurus is the earth. We could be seeing tornadoes, cyclones, volcanic eruptions, as the tectonic plates of the earth are affected. Okay, so as I said, if the orbit is closer to the earth, then it's going to be a more powerful eclipse, and that's what is going on. Now remember that we've got, to get a full moon, we have the sun opposite the moon, and it's the moon that's receiving the light from the sun, so it's reflecting the sun's light, right? And it's a full moon, so we've got an apocalypse, if I can call it, which means we're going to be seeing things, revelations, what's ending. A lunar eclipse is something is being eclipsed out of our life, something that is not meant to be there. Now, as I said, the moon and the sun in opposition, and the north and the south nodes of the moon are there. That's how we get an eclipse. That's the difference between an eclipse and just a normal full moon or a new moon. Okay, so it's called a supermoon. They do say that for about 14 minutes it's going to be a blood moon. They're calling it a flower blood supermoon eclipse, which it's a very particular and very important eclipse, everyone. Remember, a lunar eclipse is more internal as well. It's not so much about what's going on outside of us, but it's also got to do with our emotional self. Not to say that things will not be happening external to us, but they'll be affecting us emotionally. That's what I'm trying to get at and explain. So that's going to, that red blood moon is going to last for about 14 minutes. Now, before I forget, I did mention that, where the eclipse will be visible with the eye. Don't look at eclipses with a naked eye. Always wear those special glasses. See it through binoculars. I should say not binoculars, a telescope, if you can. Just take care. Make sure that you've got protective lenses in whichever way you're going to look at it, and just take precaution, because it's very powerful. And I remember when I was little, my parents used to say, don't look at the eclipse, it can affect your eyesight, and it's true. Now, because it's happening on the axis, as you could see here, we've got the south node and the moon, right? Well, it's not at the same degrees. There's 5 degrees difference, and over here as well, as you could see. Nevertheless, it's still a total lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse. Therefore, the moon is right on the south node, and the south node is very, very karmic indeed. The north node being here in Gemini, as I said, the axis Gemini and Sagittarius. Remember that towards the end of the year, the nodes will be shifting as they do go backwards. So the south node will enter Scorpio and the north node will enter Taurus. So therefore we're dealing with mutable energies, the mutable cross. Therefore, who is going to be more affected by this eclipse? Obviously, Sagittarius, which is dealing with a karmic situation that they're letting go of, they're shedding. This full moon is going to help release any karma of the past, anything that was not, maybe there's a sense of familiarity or losing something from your life that's very well known to you, very familiar, that you feel it in your DNA, because the nodes are very karmic and they deal with the past. So the south node is where we're coming from. So therefore, we're shedding. Everyone is, because everyone's got Sagittarius somewhere in their chart. So shedding something to do with the past. Is it dogmatic ideas? Is it fanatism? Is it religion? The way you think, the way you proceed. So what you've learnt, your philosophies, remember that's Sagittarius, philosophy, higher education, distant countries, other cultures, justice, any forms of justice or an injustice, something is being excreted. Remember that we've got Rahu and Ketu here. So the north node is Rahu and Ketu is the tail of the dragon. Rahu is the head of the dragon. So this is where we excrete. Whatever is not necessary, we change it. We let it go. And if we're not able to let it go on our own, this is spirit coming through and, giving a hand of help to let go of something karmic to do with the past. Now, north node, right opposite, which is where the sun is transiting. Obviously, if you're a Gemini, happy birthday. Dear Gemini, obviously you're affected. This is not easy, and this is a very difficult eclipse, everyone. Not only for these two signs that I'm mentioning now, it's also the mutable cross, as I said. So Pisces and Virgo. North node in Gemini. This is where everyone's moving towards the collective fate. Okay, so obviously, dear Gemini, this full moon is happening in the house opposite you, which deals with your relationships. But I will be going into more details. Obviously, as soon as the intro has finished, remember everyone that it's very important to watch the whole intro, because the information is there. And then we will start from Aries and go through all the signs. Don't forget to watch your sun sign and your rising sign, okay, to get an all-round view of what's really going on. All right, so as I was saying, this is not an easy eclipse. Total eclipses, total solar eclipses are very difficult. They're very challenging, but also they're even more challenging when we have difficult aspects, difficult configurations, and that's what's going on with this eclipse. This eclipse is an aggressive eclipse. It can be hurtful, it can be wounding. Now, of course, it's not going to be happening for everyone in the same area of life. But let's just go into the configurations and why is it a difficult eclipse. First of all, let's just look at the chart of the day of the moment of the eclipse. We've got Mercury very strong in its home sign of Gemini, but Mercury is stationed ready to turn retrograde, as Mercury on the 29th is turning retrograde. Therefore, it's absolutely stopped here. Very powerful. And as I say always, with a retrograde planet, it means it's very close to the Earth. Therefore, its power is amplified. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. It's communication. Remember that when we talk about a planet, it holds the signature of the sign that it rules. So who does it rule? It rules Gemini and Virgo. It takes both the traits from Gemini and Virgo. Gemini is mutable. Yes, Virgo is mutable as well. So both are easy to change, to mutate, right? So therefore, whatever Mercury is doing will affect Gemini and Virgo more importantly, but everyone on a level of communication, interaction. What else is Mercury? Mercury rules the children. Gemini is the youth. Virgo is service. It's our daily routine. It's anything that is written, spoken, and so on and so forth. Mercury also is the messenger. He travels. He would do long distances. That's why when you see an illustration of Mercury, he's got the wings, he's got the winged hat, he's got the wings on his feet, on his sandals. He's forever running. He's very fast. That's why he was crowned as the god of information, because he would get from A to B in a very quick time, unless he is retrograding and therefore he slows down, but he becomes very powerful. So Mercury's practically ready to retrograde. I will be doing another video on Mercury retrograde, so stay tuned for that. We've also got Venus here, and they do take, as I said, the signature, the identity of Gemini. Gemini is yap, 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 yap. Gemini people love to talk. They're very cerebral, as is also Virgo. That's why many times with the tarot I say that, you know, I see many times Virgo very similar to the Queen of Swords. There are many similarities between Virgo and Gemini. I've got many Gemini friends out there. Some are really, I've got one particular Gemini who is like a sister to me. She knows who she is. She's listening now. Hello, darling. And I've got clients that have become friends, Gemini people. We get along like a house on fire. I love Gemini energy. Me being a double Virgo, right? We understand each other. So, as I was saying, very youthful is Gemini. Very much about logic, same as Virgo, using the left side of the brain. That's Mercury. So therefore, love becomes very communicative with Venus here. Okay, it's all about giving and receiving information. Remember that Gemini is also, think of Gemini as the office. In anything to do with the gadgets, our mobile phone, our office, written, we've got paperwork, anything that deals with office, collaboration, doing business with our environment, right? It's things close to home, because if you think of the fourth house, that's our home, but this is people that are close to us and in our environment. Be it the siblings, be it uncles, aunts, and people that you just deal with in your close periphery. Gemini is also short distance travel, so it rules cars, motorbikes, anything can relate to Mercury, all these things that I've just mentioned. Now obviously here, as I was saying, Gemini, there is a full moon in your house, the house opposite you, which is others, other people, your relationships, your marriage. That's where the full moon is happening. Okay, now if we're talking about Sagittarian people, for you there is something ending in your first house, right? First house is you. It's everything about you. It's the way you're seen out in the world. It's your physical body. It's the front door to your home. That's what the first house is. If we think of the chart being a home, the front door is the first house. It's everyone's first impression of you. Okay, it's not people that would know you personally. It's how they see you physically. That first impression of you, that's the first house. So it relates to everything in your life. Is it your Your personal life, your romantic life, your relationships, your business, everything is the first house. Hello everyone, and welcome to Divine Debut. How are you all? Hope you're doing well. Okay, this is an astrology reading. It is a preview of what is already on my website for purchase, as well as on Patreon. It is in relation to the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which is on the 26th, so just around the corner in Sagittarius, where we do over an hour. We go into the astrology, the little details and everything else that comes along with it. And then we go into each individual sign. So we've got the preview here on YouTube so that those of you that don't know what we offer on Patreon, and you know, this is a full moon, lunar eclipse, and full moons and new moon videos are on tier 2 on Patreon. Of course, if you're on tier 3, you get everything. Tier 3 also gets the month ahead astrology, as well as all the extended. There's so much on Patreon, and it's really worth your while. As some people have quoted, they get much more for their money than what they even expected. So the feedback is wonderful. Thank you so much to those of you that are giving me the heads up. So those of you that do not want to join us on Patreon, you can always go and purchase a one-off time, one video at a time. We've got the extended readings on my website. We've got a lot more astrology as well. So thank you again. The links will be below. Now you can watch the preview, and those of you that are interested, it's up for grabs, as I said, either on Patreon from tier 2 up. Tier 1 will not be able to see it. Tier 1 only gets the extended readings, plus all the Patreons get into a draw. Every month we give 3 free readings, so no one misses out. So thank you again, and pay close attention to the details. It's not an easy eclipse. All right, everyone. Just be on the lookout. Already a lot is going on in the world. China, we've had a major earthquake. I hear something about so many billions of cicadas in the US that are going to be around for the next 3 weeks. What's going on? Really, the astrology, yes, the tarot is a tool, but astrology is right on point, everyone. That's why I like to use both. And many clients of mine come through and ask for a personal reading, including both. It's like we're checking all our, checking off all the boxes and making sure that we've got the right story. So thank you so much, everyone, for your support. Look out for the daily messages every single day. Love and light to all of you, and thank you so much for being here. Wishing you well for this eclipse, right? Look after yourselves. Ta-da.